Through the Looking Glass, Part 1, Chapter 3, Back in Place. Wade just stood there and stared at the hedgehog, trying to figure out what to do first. Should he call Tom and Maddie? No, there's no way he could do that. It's barely been half a day since they left. They deserve a break. He couldn't ruin it before they could really start it. Plus, it's only one hedgehog. Wade was sure he could take care of it. So it was decided. Wade would keep the hedgehog here and not tell the Wachowskis. All really left was to figure out what to do with the blood and injuries that seemed to litter the poor creature. After a quick look, it was clear that most of the cuts were pretty shallow and just needed to be properly cleaned. However, after a look at its hands, Wade realized that those were a different story. The thumbs on each of the creature's hands were obviously dislocated. This was a bit more than he thought he could handle. Should he call the vet's office? Sure, they seemed like a good idea, but Wade knew the moment he stepped in there with the creature, the staff would automatically call Maddie, and he didn't want that. Well, when in doubt, Google it. Wade took out his phone and quickly searched how to fix an alien hedgehog's dislocated thumbs. Not surprisingly to many, but surprisingly to him, there were no results that answered his question. So he tried again, instead searching how to fix a hedgehog's dislocated thumbs. Again, no results aroused. Wade huffed in annoyance, wondering why Google could not provide a fairly simple answer to his fairly simple question. Okay, third time's the charm. Wade searched how to fix dislocated thumbs. This time there were plenty of answers. They all said the same things. Put the thumb back in its normal position and wear a splint while your thumb heals. Take pain medication as directed and ice your thumb for 10 to 20 minutes at a time. Placing the hedgehog's thumb back into position while it was asleep and unable to consent didn't really bite with Wade. So instead, he decided to do the least invasive thing and ice those swelling areas. At his mom's insistence, Wade had a pretty decent-sized first aid kit. He never really used it, but the cold packs inside it would be perfect to ice the swelling on the hedgehog's thumbs. Now that Wade had a plan, his nerves settled a bit more. Before leaving to get the kit, he checked to see if the hedgehog was still breathing. Once seeing that the creature's chest was rising and falling, Wade went into his bedroom to fetch the first aid kit. The kit laid on the top shelf of his small closet. He grabbed the bag and placed it on the ground. Since Wade was already in there, he decided to change out of his uniform, as he had the time. Plus, once the creature woke up, he didn't want to startle it by wearing his uniform. Now wearing a pair of black sweatpants and a gray shirt, Wade walked back into the living room with the first aid kit in hand. Walking back over to the couch, he sighed a breath of relief as the hedgehog was still laying on the couch. Wade bent down to the ground, now eye level with the creature as it laid still. He reached into the kit and grabbed 2 cold packs from the bottom. He snapped them as the instruction insisted and placed one each on the injured thumbs. Wade hoped that this small act would help relieve some of the poor creature's pain. After around 3 minutes of just sitting and watching the hedgehog, Wade kind of felt weird. Sitting and staring at the poor thing for 20 minutes almost felt creepy. Luckily, his stomach decided to growl at that perfect moment. At the action, Wade got up and decided to cook some pizza. Usually, Wade would make his famous homemade pizza that his mom taught him to make when he was younger, but that took lots of time. Since he was in a rush, frozen pizza would work just fine for tonight. Wade grabbed the pizza out of the freezer and threw it in the oven, skipping the preheating stage and just hoping the pizza would cook fully. Wade sat at the kitchen table and started to space out. Even though it was just 20 minutes, it felt like forever. Wade was tempted to go into his garage and start working on his bike again. Ever since Robotnik's last attack, he never got the chance to finish fixing it. However, his thoughts stopped after he heard a soft groan coming from the couch. He walked over quietly, not wanting to spook the poor creature. Once Wade reached the couch, he was greeted by the sight of a very tense and very confused hedgehog.
Hi there. No need to be worried. I just wanted to make sure you were all right.
Wade said as kindly as possible in hopes that it would ease the tension in the hedgehog's body. Shadow groaned in pain as he slowly woke up. Where was he? All he remembered was running and then darkness. Did he pass out? Did those military people find him? At the thought of that, his heart spiked and his eyes opened, trying to take in his surroundings. Once his vision cleared, Shadow found himself in a room with a yellow wallpaper decorated with red and pink roses. He looked down on his hands and found what must have been some sort of ice pack laid upon them. At the sight of the ugly green and white striped couch he was on, Shadow was sure he wasn't back at the facility, but that didn't stop his nerves. If he wasn't at the facility, then where was he? And how was he supposed to know he was truly safe? What if the new people who captured him were just trying to turn him back into the military? Or even worse, what if the people who now had him were even more cruel and sadistic than the military? Shadow's thoughts began to spiral into a tornado of uncertainty and only stopped once he heard footsteps coming his way. It was clear by the way they were walking that they were trying to be quiet. Was this some sort of scare tactic? As the sets got closer, Shadow tensed and braced himself for what was to come. However, as the person came around the corner of the couch and was now face to face with Shadow, he couldn't help but let confusion show on his face. This was his kidnapper, an awkward average-looking man in a gray shirt and black sweatpants. Shadow was tempted to beat the man up and leave, but was stopped when the man started talking to him. The man didn't have an ounce of malice in his voice. Shadow stared into the man's eyes, not wanting to say anything just yet. The man clearly couldn't handle the silence and placed his hand sheepishly behind his neck.
I found you at my doorstep passed out. Brought you inside because you looked hurt and was cold. Your thumbs are injured. I put ice on them to help the swelling.
The man looked down onto the ground, almost like he was embarrassed.
I don't want to put the bones back in place without your consent.
Oh, Shadow hadn't expected that. His consent never mattered to anyone before, so why did it matter to this man?
My name's Wade, by the way. Not really sure what else to say.
The man let out an awkward chuckle. Shadow's intense stare seemed to make the man squirm, which helped him feel more at ease. He could totally beat this man and leave whenever he wanted. Shadow was in control of the situation, no one else. Shadow was about to tell the man, well, Wade, his name, when a ding came somewhere in the house, ring, and caused them both to jump.
Oh, that must be the pizza.
Wade said before running off towards where the sound came from. Pizza? What was that? After a minute, Wade came running back to where Shadow was.
So your thumbs. Do you want me to put them back into place? I have splints to place on them to help them heal afterward.
Was this man really asking Shadow for his opinion? No one's really done that. Well, except Shadow blinked and looked back up to the man.
I can put them back.
His voice was gruff and need of water. The man didn't look nearly as shocked as he should have been for seeing a hedgehog creature talk.
I'm not sure I feel too comfortable with letting you do that by yourself.
Concern reeked off of him. It was weird to Shadow. Something about the look on Wade's face made Shadow feel like he could trust the man to do it and not hurt him on purpose.
Sure, you can do it.
Shadow stuttered. He never stuttered. What was going on? Wade bent down, now eye level with Shadow, and gently took the hedgehog's hands into his.
Okay, this might hurt a little, but I promise I'll make it as quick as possible.
The smile on Wade's face caused a wave of reassurance and calm to overrun Shadow. Afraid of what he might say, Shadow just nodded his head to show that he understood what Wade said. Shadow took in a breath, and before he knew it, Wade snapped the thumbs back in place. The pain was horrible, but something about the way Wade's hands moved in circles on Shadow's back eased the pain.
I know that must have hurt. I have some Tylenol you can take if you think it'll help.
Shadow nodded.
Okay, let me grab you some water.
Wade left but came back quickly with a glass of water and 2 Tylenol pills in hand. Shadow wanted to thank him, but the sound of a phone ringing had Wade speeding out of the room again.